You.
I remember this one. I referenced this yesterday. And I referenced it because I worked on this one too. I've heard your ship can soar through the skies. It's hard to believe. Are you sure it won't fall? Oh, Leon. I miss when we could use Leon and he was good gameplay wise. He was pretty fun for a little while there, wasn't he? In COTC.
Yeah.
When it's meant to fall, it will. Life is but one wager after another to seize our fate. Even a ship sailing the seas will sink when its time has come. Will it not? Right. And yet there are dreams we love to chase. That is why we board the ship. To become the man who flew closest to the stars. That is my dream. And for anybody who's played Final Fantasy VI, that's what Daryl said to him right before she went on her last trip out in the Falcon. I once had a friend I raced ships with, and we'd wager our treasures on every match. And this is actually true, and he told us about this in Octopath 1 as well, and I didn't remember that, and until I worked on this, and it just light bulbed me. Like, they literally based Leon here after Setzer, right? Because they wrote the exact same story for Leon as was written 30 years ago for Setzer. The only difference is the context of the setting, right? Leon sails in a boat, whereas Setzer flew in an airship. But they both lost someone who was very close to them, and they both lost them in the same way, where they were like doing friendly wager racing and stuff. So that makes me like Leon even more, because like I was saying yesterday, like Setzer is one of my favorite characters from Final Fantasy VI, both like gameplay wise and personality wise. And yeah, see, Setzer was just like light bulb. On that stormy day, we bet our most precious treasures against each other. He beat me and never came back. All they ever found was his ship, torn to pieces. Having lost, I kept wondering what treasure I was supposed to give him. In the end, nothing came to mind. I realized I had nothing at all. You know what? Does that mean that this collaboration and this conversation... Yeah, no, it does, right? Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on, this actually has, like, really big implications. Like, Octopath timeline-wise as it pertains to like, the traveling between worlds. Right? This is actually pretty big, I think. Let me figure out how do I say this? Because what he's saying here kind of implies, and we know that because Side Orstera, COTC's story in Orstera that they reimagined in Octopath 0 takes place before Octopath 1, right? It's Octopath 1's prequel. But the stuff that's happening in this collab here is happening like with these cross stories and stuff with the Final Fantasy VI characters. It's happening in Celestia, and we can pinpoint like when, because like for one, Piro's alive, but for two, Oswald is on the mainland, right? And so we know it around when that is in relation to Octopath 0 and 1's stories. I think I gotta think about this more, because it gets so complicated when you're talking about like time travel, right? And you're talking about something that happened in an earlier point in time, but when you think about like an actual story that's been told, it actually happened later, right? But it happened in the past, technically. And both of those things can be true, because time doesn't move like when you talk about time travel and think about it like like conceptually, theoretically, like scientifically, what we know in our world about it, time travel doesn't happen linearly, right? And so like I think I need to think about this more, but I think this like actually is giving us more information about the timeline, that he's saying this stuff, because that means at least in the, if we think about like the Octopath story as a whole, across all of the stories that have been told so far, we have Side Orstera, which is Octopath 0, then we have Octopath, and after, like during that, we also have the Ember Flame story, right, which starts midway through Octopath Zero's story during Side Orstera. And we have no idea whether that concludes before Octopath 1's story or not. I think we probably can assume it does. So we have two stories that happen before we get Octopath 1's story. And then we also have Side Celestia, which is COTC's story here, which takes place in Celestia, which happens, and I need to like move my finger, do something different with my fourth finger, because that happens between the times of Octopath Zero's end and Octopath 2's start, which means it's happening simultaneously with Octopath 1's story. It's just happening in Celestia, not Orstera. But yeah, if we think about all that stuff, and you know, it's going back and forth, like different plots of those are going back and forth between Orstera and Celestia, so it's not like a linear timeline either. If we were to make a visual representation of the timeline, there would be going back and forth and stuff. But this tells us that, because he's, and the reason I'm saying all this is because he's not mentioning Graham's notebook, right? Which is the prize or whatever Tressa picked from his ship, right? When she did whatever she did in her story in Octopath 1, and he gave her whatever she wanted off of his ship. Graham Crossford's notebook was what she took, right? And he doesn't seem to have any recollection of that or knowledge of that here in this story, which is why all this time travel came into my mind. I think at some point in the future, you know, whether it's like 10 years from now or something, when we're much further along in our Octopath storytelling journey, right? Like, I feel like they've had like a lot more of the overarching story like conceptually done, and they did it such that like a mystery story, such that they're only giving us like breadcrumbs as we go along. They're not showing us the entire picture all at once early on, right? Like, there's, as we get further, we're seeing more and more pieces of the puzzle come together, and they're becoming visible. And this almost seems like another piece that's come into view. It's not blurry anymore, that we know that in the Octopath timeline, the timeline we're in as the players. Around the time that Octopath 2's story starts. Octopath 1's story has not happened yet either. Even though there is something in this game, in COTC, inside Celestia, that makes us think that Octopath 2 chronologically happens after Octopath 1. And so, like, we have one example of Octopath 2 coming after Octopath 1, and now we have another one of that not being the case. And so that's where the time travel comes into play, where two contradicting things can be true because time does not flow linearly. So this is actually, like, this is huge. This seems like this has, like, really big implications, and we'll have to see whether that ends up being true. I could just be, I mean, we could later find out that this stuff is not canon, right? That's a possibility. We could find out that I'm overanalyzing things and I'm just wrong. That's a possibility. Or we could find out that this is actually just another breadcrumb. This is just another piece on the 1,000-piece puzzle that is Octopath's story. And right now we can only see, like, I mean, I have no idea what number to say. I have no way of knowing, like, how much of the overarching Octopath story we can actually see. My initial gut reaction was gonna say, like, I don't know, like 200 pieces of a 1,000-piece puzzle or something we can see now, something like that, and this is just one new piece for us or something. I don't know, but okay, let's keep going. But this is really interesting though. So I decided to repair my friend's ship and start over as a merchant. And now I found my true treasure. Oh, wait. How curious to find someone whose tragedy mirrors my own. I too once had a friend I soared through the skies with and raced. But after one race, she never returned. Only a broken ship was left behind. Rip Daryl, Rip Daryl, Rip Daryl. She pushed her experimental airship beyond its limits in the name of glory. And lost that final wager. Your friend did as well.
なるほど。
I see. That line of thought does suit a gambler such as you. While we live, we ought to revel in the thrill. That's what life is about.
白黒つけようぜ。
Seems we're due for a proper wager, you and I. What say you? Gladly, I accept your challenge. That's the spirit. Let's away to the casino. Just don't start bawling when you lose. As if I would. Win or lose, it's the gamble that makes it fun. That was good too. Man, they cooked with these though. I mean, I know we spruced them up and everything with the localizations and made them read better, made them more source accurate and stuff. But man, like, the base of these stories, like the themes of these stories have been cooking. I can't wait. We've still got two more. We've still got Realm and we've got Terra.